For any of my Australian brethren out there, I need to go ahead and give a quick shout out to PLE Computers, which made this video possible. The reason I didn't upload yesterday is because my CPU fan stopped working. So what was happening is my CPU, which is the core processing unit of your computer, started freaking out. It was having a heart attack. My entire computer was running super slow because it was trying to overcompensate for the fact that the CPU wasn't able to perform or else it was going to explode. I didn't realize what the problem was. It actually took me a little bit to figure it out. I figured out that it was a CPU fan. I took my computer into PLE Computers because I was going to need to buy a new fan anyway, and I was going to have them look at it just to confirm the fact that it was in fact the fan that was broken instead of like a motherboard issue. PLE was nice enough to not only replace the fan for me for free, but also did not charge for the fan itself, which would normally cost like $20. Going to any other store probably would have cost me again like $20 for the fan and then like an extra $50 for installation. I probably wouldn't have paid for installation. I probably would have just installed it myself, but PLE Computers was again awesome enough to install it free of charge and give me that fan. So huge shout out to them. They're awesome. I'll link their Twitter in the description or something. Again, I said my Australian brethren because I believe this is only an Australian store. If you appreciate me bringing back the Q&As, then leaving a like on this video would be super appreciated. Let's get straight into the questions. Do you think anime Batman will be a skin in Injustice 3? Possibly. It depends how well Batman Ninja does. Batman Ninja is obviously a very new thing for Warner Brothers and DC in general. This has never been done. That being said, they have some fantastic people working on it, and they have some amazing characters that are going to be used in the story. So it wouldn't surprise me to find out that Batman Ninja does very, very well, and if it does, it's more likely to show up in games, whether it be Injustice 3 or anything else. Do you think that they could have a Ray Palmer premiere skin for Atom? I think a lot of people want this, but the more I play with Ryan Choi, the more I don't think it really matters. Ed Boon said something along the lines of, just because we have Ryan Choi doesn't eliminate the possibility for a Ray Palmer premiere skin or anything like that. I think the reason he said that is because a lot of people were initially quite cautious, because most people are more familiar with the Ray Palmer character than the Ryan Choi character at least. So when they revealed that it was going to be Ryan Choi, I think a lot of people were just kind of optimistically cautious, like, this is not my Atom. Hopefully he's cool. And then once we actually saw him and got to play with him in the game, we realized, oh, we don't really need a Ray Palmer premiere skin, do we? This guy is pretty cool. He's funny. I don't see much of a reason for them to do a Ray Palmer premiere skin, especially because that would take a lot of work, and we could just instead get a better premiere skin, right? What do you think Enchantress's gameplay will be like? This is actually a super interesting question, because it's a very difficult question to answer, right? If we look at the history of magical characters in Injustice games, they're kind of zoning-oriented, but if we have Enchantress in the game, I would hope that her gameplay is fairly unique. I would like to see her be kind of a trap-based character, using magical elements, or even just a rushdown character would be quite interesting, perhaps maybe with some flight cancel stuff, or something like that. Some people were upset that Starfire was a very zoning-ish character, right? She's kind of rushdown zoner. I don't really know how to explain her, actually. She's quite strange. But people were upset about that gameplay style, the fact that you could play Starfire almost completely zoning. I think the reason NetherRealm does things like that is because if a character is popular enough, they should be playable by the people who think she's a cool character, right? So if a character is as popular as Starfire or as popular as Red Hood, they shouldn't be your most technical and complicated characters on the roster. Now, Enchantress, however, actually has a lot of room to be a kind of complicated character because she's not a super popular character. She's a character that a lot of people like, but she's not Red Hood, she's not Beast Boy, she's not Starfire, so I think they have a lot of room for creativity with this moveset, and I certainly hope they go there. Do you think that legendary gear was executed correctly? Most of it doesn't seem worth it. Possibly. I don't know. Something to remember is that this is Injustice 2's first time at doing the gear system, and it's also their first time trying to do the legendary gear system on top of that. So maybe it wasn't executed correctly. I don't really know, because I don't really try to get the legendary gear stuff, because it's not very important to me. Also, I don't really play a main character, so devoting that much time to one character to get their legendary gear isn't really worth it for me. I'm probably going to do it for Adam, because I like Adam a lot, if you haven't noticed. But assuming they did execute it incorrectly, I'm sure they're aware of it, and that it's something they're willing to correct in the future, not necessarily in Injustice 2, but in any other future game where they have unlockables like this. Do you buy your source crystals? Yeah, of course. I don't often buy source crystals though, because they didn't really give us much to buy with source crystals other than premiere skins, and they actually give you quite a bit of source crystals just for playing the game, and occasionally they give you some. So I think I've only ever bought source crystals once, and it was to get the Bizarro premiere skin so I could make a video about it. But apart from that, I don't really buy them. If Blizzard were to make a fighting game, would you prefer a completely original roster, or for it to be made up of characters from their other games, similar to Heroes of the Storm actually? And what characters would you most want to be a part of the game? I think it would be really silly for Blizzard not to use their characters from their other games. Blizzard has a massive library of very popular characters, from Tracer to Thrall to some very iconic World of Warcraft characters with some StarCraft characters thrown in there, and even Diablo. They have a really rich history of characters that I think is very easy to pull from and translate into a fighting game particularly well. A character that I would really like to see is Thrall. I love Thrall, and I would love to see what he would look like in a fighting game, utilizing all these different elements, being a true shaman. You could actually try to represent every class from World of Warcraft on a fighting game roster. That'd be pretty cool. But yes, absolutely, I think they should pull from their own universe rather than making a new one for a fighting game. What do you think they'll do for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle gear? And then he goes on to list some suggestions. Unfortunately, despite the fact that I love all of your ideas here, I don't think any of them are going to happen. The main reason for it is because Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle gear, I think the way it's going to work is you're going to apply it to one of them, and then that will get kind of copy and pasted to all of them. And the accessory will be specific to each character. So the reason I think this is going to be the case is because we've actually seen two pieces of gear for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. In the launch trailer and of course in a splash art thrown up on Twitter, if you compare them, they're actually wearing two different gear sets. But all of them, all the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in those screenshots are wearing identical gear, if that makes any sense. So I think it's pretty fair to say that the gear is probably going to work like I just suggested. And in that case, you wouldn't be able to get specific gear like this, like Michelangelo with skater gear on and Raphael with street punk gear. It's just not going to work, unfortunately. Will you ever stream on Twitch? I actually have streamed on Twitch in the past, and it's something I'm super willing to do in the future. I'm not sure if I would stream on Twitch or on YouTube, but streaming is definitely something I think I want to do more often. I just need to get myself in a situation where I'm able to consistently upload daily and it's not a struggle for me. I'm definitely not going to do it this year because I have a lot of stuff to work out before the end of the year. So I'm definitely not going to be able to sort out a schedule for streaming, but perhaps I'll do it in the future, especially if you guys demand it. Which console is better to get Injustice 2 on? It's probably PlayStation. There's a lot more people playing on PlayStation, but I prefer to play it on Xbox. But if you have to get it on one, I would recommend PlayStation. Not an Injustice question, but DLC related one. Since Frost is a relatively requested character for Mortal Kombat 11, do you think that if she were to be in the game that we could get a Killer Frost premiere skin for her? Or do you think that they'll avoid putting DC characters in Mortal Kombat? I think in general they're probably going to try to avoid putting DC characters in Mortal Kombat, but it's certainly something I hope they're willing to do because that would be really awesome to see. Not only because we would get Frost in the game, and I'm definitely hoping that they're willing to put a Killer Frost premiere skin on her because that would be awesome for us DC fans who have to wait 2 years to get an Injustice game. Would you have preferred a girl character from Mortal Kombat instead of Raiden? I wanted Melina or Jade, but like Katana, Scarlet, etc. And if so, which one would you want? I'm not sure I would have picked another character over Raiden. I think Raiden is a specific type of draw to the game. We also wouldn't have got the Black Lightning premiere skin if it wasn't for Raiden. But if I had to choose one to replace him, I would probably go with Katana. Katana's the character I'm most familiar with, and she's pretty cool. And it's actually one of the characters I tried to main in Mortal Kombat. Would you like Young Justice characters to be in Injustice 3? If so, which character would you want to see the most? For me, it'd probably be the Kid Flash currently on Young Justice, which is actually Impulse. I like Kid Flash a lot, and I specifically like Impulse a lot, and I certainly hope it's something that the TV shows are willing to do in the future, man. I want to see Impulse, I want to see him in the DCEU, I want to see him everywhere. I love Impulse, so I hope he shows up in Injustice 3, and I certainly hope that Young Justice gets some more representation with maybe a character like Beast Boy or something showing up. Do you think we're going to get a new map after Fighter Pack 3? No, I don't think so. It would be awesome, and I've already thrown out my suggestion, which would be Central City. Do you think that Ra's al Ghul will be in Injustice 3? I think it's actually a pretty high possibility. The character's only getting more and more popular as he's used on the CW shows a little bit here and there. I'm sure he'll be a part of the DCEU at some point, and apparently, according to some people I know who do read the comic books for Injustice 2, I haven't started reading them yet, I'll get around to it. I've heard Ra's al Ghul has a pretty big part in it, so it wouldn't surprise me at all to see him show up in Injustice 3. If Fighter Pack 4 happens, who do you think will be a good character to add? I'm hoping for Constantine, Vibe, and Beast Boy. Well, Vibe and Constantine are absolutely on my dream wish list for Fighter Pack 4. Vibe and Constantine are definitely my most requested characters. I've talked about Vibe a ton on this channel because I love Vibe, but Constantine is in fact a close runner-up for me. And as far as that final character goes, I would like it to be Mira. I don't think Mira is going to happen at this point, just because we already have multiple Aquaman characters in the game, and I don't think they're going to try to fit more in there. And like I've said 1,000 times, I don't actually think Fighter Pack 4 is going to happen. Do you think Plastic Man would make a good character for Injustice 3? 100%. I'm actually a tiny bit surprised he didn't show up in Injustice 2. So many people requested Plastic Man, and I think this question has actually inspired me to do another video, which will be 5 characters we all wanted and didn't get and Injustice 2. Something along those lines. I'm sure I'll come up with a more catchy title. Or I'll just use that because I'm lazy. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. You guys always supply awesome questions for the Q&A. If I didn't get to your question, I apologize. Remember to leave a comment in the comment section with hashtag Q&A with the letters, not the symbol. And again, thank you so much for watching. My name has been Bilbsy, and I will see you in tomorrow's video.